Hello and good evening to everyone. I hope you're doing well. So, today we have another special guest with us, Mr. Dipankar Saha, a distinguished IT professional with over 20 plus years of experience in architect and SME in Industry 4.0. Renowned for his expertise in SAP manufacturing, IoT solution, Dipankar has successfully led global implementation, developed comprehensive training programs, holding titles of principal architect. He specializes in defining robust architecture and implementing cutting-edge Industry 4.0 solutions. In addition to being a certified SAP expertise architect with proficiency of microservices, cloud application, and intelligent workflow, Dipankar is also known as an accomplished author. His contribution extends to the latest book called Industry 4.0 with SAP, along with many other publications which he has authored from a global publishing houses. Dipankar's publication has white papers are valuable resources to the field, showcasing his commitment to knowledge dissemination. So, without any further ado, let's start and let's introduce our guest. Hello, good evening.
Hi, Ritama. Good evening, and thanks for calling me in this podcast.
You're always welcome, and it's lovely to have you in our show. And I'm really excited what's coming next because this episode is not just an SAP expert. We are talking to an SAP, author. So I'm very much excited about it. So without any further ado, I'll jump right into the questions because I'm really excited to know more about what is Industry 4.0 is all about. Okay.
Sure.
Now, could you please tell me what is Industry 4.0 and its importance for manufacturing industry? Like if you tell the audience about the entire scenario.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Ritama. This is a very important question to start with. Like nowadays, I think many of us have heard this term Industry 4.0, but the
Mhm.
question for many might be that why it is called Industry 4.0.
Right.
So for that, we need to look a little bit into the history, starting from the 1700s, around 18th century, when the concept of industrialization started with the invention of steam engine, right? So that is actually called the Industry 1.0, when the whole concept of industry with the production using machinery with steam powered engines and so on. Then
Mhm.
in the late 19th century, with the advent of the electrical energy, availability of the electrical energy, the machines
Right.
become more automated. There are like automated production and assembly lines concept. That is called the Industry 2.0. Now,
Okay.
in the late 20th century, we have the advancement of more technology in terms of culmination of the different sensors, devices, the SCADA and the PLC system, which can control the machines, use of computers in the manufacturing scenario. That is called the Industry 3.0. And more recently, like we can say post 2010, with the introduction or with the applicability of the modern IT and digital technologies, which is the using the Internet of Things or Industrial Internet of Things, using artificial intelligence and machine learning, using various digital technologies, analytics, using that in the manufacturing space to get the data from the physical machines, to derive the insight out of that, and to get more insight for the business users to take quick decision. That is what Industry 4.0 is all about. All in all, if we can say it as a complete digitalization of the whole manufacturing value chain, what we know it, and ultimately it helps the user to get a real-time visibility across the value chain, as well as take quick decisions and ultimately improve the product quality, improve the customer satisfaction, and improve the overall process.
Right. Right. So, recently, also, what you have said that recently you have published a book titled with Industry 4.0 with SAP. Tell us what you have written in this book and what readers will learn from it, if you can tell.
Right. Of course. So, I mean, to start with, I like to say this is the book like we are considering for a long time along with my co-authors. So with one of my co-authors, I kind of conceptualized this book almost 6 years back when we prepared the first draft of the book. Having spent more than 20 years in the Industry 4.0 domain, consulting our customers and developing and implementing various solutions, we always felt the need to have an overall guide for the consultants and business stakeholders in this
Right.
domain to understand the nuances of Industry 4.0 and which
Right.
solutions are applicable for this and the approaches to take for the implementation journey. Though we prepared the first draft of the book back then, we are not very satisfied and continue working on it. Over the years, the SAP solutions are also matured, which many of these which are available today were not available from the Industry 4.0 solution perspective were not available. Also, the methodologies for maturity assessment, the cloud platforms were maturing at that time, which we felt are very important elements of the Industry 4.0 journey. Now, earlier last year, when SAP Press or Reinwerk Publishing approached us to author a book on Industry 4.0, we started again with the renewed focus and felt this is the right time to publish this book, having now able to cover the relevant technologies, solutions, architecture, and methodologies. And overall, we feel that this book will help the consultants, the business stakeholders, and architects, as well as academic students who wants to pursue this subject as a study and research and want to, implement, start on the journey for Industry 4.0, where it explains all the important elements or the concepts of Industry 4.0. So it has absolutely around total 10 chapters in this book of about 589 pages. It starts with the introduction of the concepts of Industry 4.0 and the key technologies, what are relevant for it. Then it explains some of the key elements of Industry 4.0, that is in Internet of Things, analytics, and machine learning in detail in two different chapters. It also has
Right.
one chapter dedicated for each of the four key solution pillars of Industry 4.0 from SAP, that is intelligent product, intelligent factory, intelligent assets, and empowered people. Total four chapters on this, and where it explains all the relevant SAP solution and how you can leverage them for your Industry 4.0 journey. Then we have a chapter dedicated for the Industry 4.0 industry scenarios and the solution architecture, and how we
All right.
can achieve that architecture both using the SAP solutions as well as open source technologies. Like the customers who are not using SAP solutions, so for them there are enough content and knowledge available in the book. And in the final chapter, we are basically looking at the different assessment methodologies for Industry 4.0 maturity assessment, prioritization assessment, and then the change management activities and how to plan your Industry 4.0 journey. So we believe this book will become a wholesome guide for anyone who want to understand this topic as well want to implement the Industry 4.0 concepts in their organization.
It's just a book will mostly would use for a complete set of course to enter into Industry 4.0. Whoever is wants to know more about Industry 4.0 and wants to implement into their career or into their lives as well. So this book is equivalent to a course, actually, that I can say that once
Yeah,
a person will able to do it. I'm just letting the audience know that whoever is focusing on doing the course on Industry 4.0, they can definitely go and purchase this book for their own betterment, because a book will always be with you, whether the courses be with you or not. The book will always be with you in the times when there would be any confusion. You can just open the book and read about it. Thank you so much. I would be very, being grateful is an understatement here, but thank you so much for thinking through this and creating a book for the people, for the readers out there who requires it. So now I'll jump into the next question: how the data management aspect handles for Industry 4.0 as it deal with various heterogeneous data source often.
right. So basically, one important thing of Industry 4.0 is you have to deal with different kinds of data, right? So which can be coming from the OT system, which is the operational technology, or like the PLC SCADA, the machines. The data can come from your legacy systems like your legacy MES, ERP, and so on. So you need
Right.
to have a very robust data management strategy, both for what we call is connect, collect, and then act. Okay, so
Right.
how to do that? Now, to enable this concept, there are various ways to do that. One of the modern concept of how you can manage the data in industry 4.0 context is using something called unified namespace, which is basically creating a semantical hierarchical view of your whole factory, or even it can be beyond your factory, the whole organization, with the different assets, the machines, whatever you have, and contextually linking them in an hierarchical view. And then enabling the MQTT messaging, which means the protocol which can enable, the sensor, SCADA, and any other system to publish the messages with that particular context. Like you have a machine, and that machine has certain parameters, like certain temperature are getting captured through the sensors, the vibration of the machine is getting captured, as well as you can have other data, like for example, the performance of the machine, the production rate, or the availability of the machine that might be getting captured in your MES system. And at the same time, in your ERP system, it might have the details about the production order, which you will be running in that system. Currently, the order, what is running in that system, what are the spec limits, how much product are being produced, and so forth. So all this data, using this unified namespace concept, you can bring in from different system into that single place, into that single asset hierarchy, what you have created, the semantic asset hierarchy, what you have created from different
Right.
source, and that actually helps as a live view of your whole enterprise. Not only that, it can also help in the integration. You can avoid the point-to-point integration between different systems using this unified namespace concept, so that you
Okay.
can help all the system to publish the data into this unified namespace, and at the same time the other system which can need the data for the particular machine or a particular node, it can actually subscribe to that data element or subscribe to that particular asset or the node, and whenever a new data is published there, it can automatically get the data back, right? So that is one of the key concept what we use. This is a very modern concept, and this
Mhm.
is we implement in this book. I have also explained like how to implement this unified namespace concept even with SAP solution, particularly with SAP Digital Manufacturing, but at the same time it can be implemented with other solution like an MQTT broker like HiveMQ or Mosquito MQTT as well.
Okay. So now, Dipankar, can you please tell me what are the skills needed for consultant who are interested getting into the Industry 4.0 section?
Okay. So overall, like I can say the basic skills what are needed at a very high level, if I have to talk about, is the overall skills for different digitalization technologies and architecture skills, right? These are the key
Okay.
skills. Now, if I break it down, the key skills under that will be the IT and OT integration, which basically means how you can integrate with your OT system, the PLC, SCADA system, through different protocols like typically in QTT, which is the preferred protocol nowadays, but any legacy SCADA system or a historian system may have OPC connectivity or Modbus connectivity. So how you basically integrate with the systems, at the same time integrate with your business application like ERP and MES system, what we call as the IT and OT integration. Which is also linked to this is the IoT skill, what we call it, which is basically getting the data from the different sensors and pulling the data into an IoT platform and deriving certain insight out of that, which is very much linked to the analytics. That's another important skill, that ultimately what we do with this data, ultimately we have to derive some analytics out of that. At the very basic level, it can be the trend analytics, it can be the very basic consolidated analytics, but in a little bit more matured level, it can be the predictive analytics, which can actually predict that how the machine will be performing in the next few days, when the machine is supposed to break down, or what will be the product quality of the batch which is currently being started. At the same
Right.
time, the cloud platform, knowledge of different cloud platforms on whichever cloud platform you might be using. It can be Azure, it can be AWS, it can be SAP BTP as well if you're using the SAP solution. Knowledge of this cloud platform is very important. And the general skill of automation, integration, data engineering, and ML and Gen AI nowadays are also equally important. And along with that, understanding of industrial IoT, cybersecurity, and understanding of robotics, these are also equally important.
My goodness, the person needs to learn a lot of things when they have to shift to Industry 4.0, because this is
Right.
not a clearly not an easy division of SAP. I can clearly see that
Yeah.
it's
And
quite
you can
progressive.
always start from a small area. Like you can start with the IT and OT integration, just to
Okay,
focus on how you integrate with the system. Then you can expand yourself, going into the
right,
more into the analytics layer, into the workflow and other
right.
things, right? But these are all the important skills. It is not that one person has to know or do everything, but these are
Yeah.
the different skill areas what are relevant for Industry 4.0.
But Dipankar, as I can see that you have got 20 plus years of experience. So you have, for 20 years, you have upskilled yourself to a position where you're an author today. And this is something like, this area has so much to learn. So a person who's very progressive, wants to learn every step of the way, for them this profession is perfect for them, because there are people I have seen myself, and I somehow consider myself a little bit about that ki I'm a person who constantly learn. So like with every episode, with every expert, I'm learning every new model of SAP, worked in anything like that. So that's wonderful. Like you have described that which skill set should be used and should be needed for a person to get into this massive amazing industry. Now I'll jump into the next question, that what are the architecture consideration for designing Industry 4.0 solution?
Right. So basically, what we need to understand that Industry 4.0 is not about a single technology or solution, but rather it's a combination of multiple solution platforms and technologies, which when
Right.
works in tandem, it helps to realize the digital or the data fabric, which are the key elements for Industry 4.0. Now,
Right.
consider a manufacturing plant having different legacy systems for manufacturing operations management, SCADA, historian, MES, which need to be integrated with the OT layer, that is the sensors and the gateways connected to the machines to get the relevant data. Ultimately,
Correct.
you need to collect the data, contextualize it, and
Mm-hmm.
integrate that with the enterprise and the cloud systems to complete
Mm-hmm.
the logistics and the production process in your ERP and the planning and the logistics systems, right? The
Right.
integration across so many systems itself is a very complex task and needs to be have a very well defined and scalable architecture. For example, the unified namespace, what I talked about.
Right.
Moreover, you also need to create the workflows across systems, because ultimately it's about a business process what you enable, or about automating a business process what you enable. So,
Right.
which also it needs managing the events based on the data from the machines and the IT applications. And then you need to analyze the trends at a more mature and stable state. As I explained earlier, it can be the predictive analytics, which to get notified about certain events such as machine breakdown much early to actually prevent it. So all this calls for different technical components and platforms to be integrated together in a scalable architecture. So you don't need to change it again and again once you introduce a new system or a new factory or a process. Moreover, some leaders might be interested to learn how to realize this architecture using some of the open source technologies such as Apache NiFi, the Ming Stack technologies, etc., apart from the core SAP solutions, what are there. So, in this book, the good news is basically we have covered both the aspects, like how you can architect this solution, create the unified namespace, and create the workflow solutions and the analytic solutions using the SAP solutions such as SAP Digital Manufacturing integrated with SAP S4HANA. And EWM and so on. Also, at the same time, how you can use the open source technologies like Apache NiFi to create the orchestration of the data flow across the machine using the Ming Stack technologies, Mosquito as the MQTT message broker, InfluxDB for storing the time series data from the machine, and so on, and the Node-RED and the Grafana for the dashboard, and so on. So it actually also explains the OT integration aspects and the new concepts such as this unified namespace, which will help you to define a modern but a scalable and robust architecture. So we have a whole chapter actually dedicated in this book, which where we explain all these different architectural scenarios in detail
Right.
and what are the key pitfalls and how to avoid that, and what are the kind of do's and don'ts in defining the architecture of this kind of solution.
Wonderful. So now, what is the maturity assessment for
Right.
Industry 4.0? If you can tell
Yeah.
me.
So Industry 4.0 is a journey. It needs a initial as well as a periodic assessment on the
Okay.
maturity and readiness of the organization to adopt Industry 4.0. So you need to follow a structured approach for this to determine the maturity levels across the different dimensions and how ready you are as an organization for Industry 4.0 adoption. So the assessment helps you to understand the gaps and where you need to improve, based on which ultimately you can define the roadmap for your Industry 4.0 adoption. And once you prioritize the gaps using a prioritization methodology. So there are different such maturity and readiness assessment frameworks available, two of which are the most popular ones and useful and used across the industry globally. These are the Smart Industry Readiness Index, or in short, it is called SIRI, which is developed by the Singapore Economic Development Board along with the World Economic Forum and currently managed by the organization called INSEAD. And the other framework is called Architect, which is defined and managed by the German Academy of Science and Engineering by the German government. We have
Right.
covered these two assessment frameworks in detail in this book so that you can get an understanding how to use this framework to do the maturity assessment of your organization for Industry 4.0 readiness, as well as to do the prioritization planning. It also
Right.
explains how to define your Industry 4.0 roadmap and plan and execute such complex program, irrespective of which technologies, platform, or solutions you are using.
Okay. So, what are the change management aspects for implementing Industry 4.0, if you can tell?
Absolutely. So, change management is a very important aspect for any new initiatives. And Industry 4.0 being a very disruptive program to holistically redesign and improve the business process and system, it is needless to say that it requires a very comprehensive change management planning and execution. The change management for Industry 4.0 practically is not only limited to one or two dimensions, but across multiple dimensions of, say, systems, process, technologies, people, logistics, infrastructures, and so on. So these needs a very meticulous planning and understanding of the different elements of change management and how to address them. So in this book, we have given a topic, even given this topic a great importance, as we believe a complex program such as Industry 4.0 adoption cannot be just technology driven, but rather it has to be driven from various aspects, with people being one of its key elements, combined with technology and the process. Now, from this book, we will learn about how to plan and execute that change management process
Mhm.
for Industry 4.0 adoption, taking care of the various elements, as I earlier mentioned, so that you can plan a very seamless execution. Also, as a bonus tips there, we have also included various guidelines on how to plan and manage such programs and do your stakeholder management, how to convince your stakeholder for such program, how to avoid certain pitfalls, which will ultimately help you to understand the various nuances and challenges of the journey and how to overcome those.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. So now I'll come to the last question, which is not, I don't want it to be the last question. I want to know more, but we have to have this last question. So, what are the SAP solutions relevant for Industry 4.0?
Yes, absolutely. So, as I earlier mentioned, like SAP has kind of defined four pillars for Industry 4.0, four solution pillars, which is
Right.
basically the intelligent product, which starts with the enterprise product development, okay, intelligent product development. So, which is a cloud-based solution, a collaborative solution by which you
Mhm.
can use the digital technologies with IoT, analytics, and collaboration with your vendors to design the product in a more
Mhm.
intelligent way. Then comes
Right.
the intelligent factory, which basically the key solutions there are digital manufacturing combined with SAP S4HANA and EWM. Digital manufacturing is the SaaS manufacturing execution system, which helps you to
Right.
integrate with your shop floor systems, carry on the production execution, and track all your machine data and derive the KPI out of that and integrate that data back into your ERP, that is the S4HANA system. Then comes the pillar of intelligent assets, which basically has different solutions. Now it has been consolidated under the asset performance management, APM. That's the name of the solution, which provides the asset strategy and performance management, predictive analytics based on your solution assets, the predictive analytics, what we are talking about earlier. And the fourth and final pillar is the empowered people, which basically consists of the EHSM or the enterprise health and safety management module, of SAP S/4HANA, the 3D Visual Enterprise, and the SAP Service and Asset Manager mobile app. So basically, the whole idea of this pillar is how you also empower the people, how you ensure that the safety of the people in the factory, and how you empower the people with technologies like mobile app, 3D Visual Enterprise, so that they can get all the information at their fingertips, and then they can work more seamlessly.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Dipankar, this was the last question, but I also have one question to you that if you could give any wisdom or any tip or any suggestion to the audience that what they should keep in mind when they're entering into this uh, segment of SAP, if you could tell us a little bit about that and how they can, like, understand that, okay, this is what they should do, definitely should do, that motivation factor, if you could give a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. So, as probably you can understand, this is a very interesting domain, at least for me, what I felt, and many might also agree to that. There are so
Right,
many things to learn, it's a very holistic one. The most
right,
important thing to learn here is, what we call as the industry knowledge about the
right.
industry process, to the how things are done in a manufacturing industry, how,
Mhm.
the machine data, how these are relevant, understanding this aspect, the practical, functional, the industrial aspect. This, I think,
Right,
is the key. Second thing is understanding, the basic platform technology and the solutions. And on this aspect, there are various learning channels are available, like particularly for the SAP solutions. If you go to learning.sap.com, there are various learning courses are available for free. One of them is very relevant for the Industry 4.0, which is the SAP Digital Manufacturing course, right? Along with that, there are courses on SAP S/4HANA and SAP EWM, which are equally important from a ERP standpoint. But the SAP Digital Manufacturing course is basically about the SAP MES solution, and it talks about the core Industry 4.0 aspects of what this solution actually provides. Also, at the
right,
same time, like because Industry 4.0 is not just limited within the boundary of the SAP solution, there are so much more around that. There are other courses also you can look into. Very recently, like Government of India is having a course. It's a free course for everyone. It's under the siam.gov.in. So SWAYAM,
mhm,
siam.gov.in. Right. So if you go there, you can find a course which is conducted by a very renowned professor of IIT Kharagpur, Professor Sudeep Misra. So he's conducting this course, which is available for free for anyone just to register and attend. It's a very interesting course. I am also going through that, and I am also learning a lot as well. And there is
right,
also another course, like who is interested, in a much deep dive course and so on, executive programs. There is a course conducted by IISc, Indian Institute of uh, Science. They conduct in Bangalore. They conduct a executive program on Industry 4.0. So there are many such courses are available. But I mean, one can start, at the very basic level, looking at the free courses what are available in learning.sap.com. In YouTube also, there are quite a few
right.
informative channels are available, and ZaranTech is definitely one of them, which also the whoever are interested can refer.
So one thing I like to tell to the audience, basically, so as audience, you can see that it's not a one day work to become a pioneer. Look at him at this 20 plus years of experience, carrying this experience. Also, he's learning more, and now he's also learning from the different courses and different teachers. So this was a beautiful experience for me to understand the mindset of a pioneer, of an excel person. So thank you so much, Dipankar, for coming to our little show, SAP Growth Podcast. And we would love to have you for another episode very soon. And I wish you and your family a very, very, very happy day.
Thank you. Thanks, Ritama. And I also like to thank the audience as well. Thank you for
Sure.
hosting the show. It was really wonderful, and I really enjoyed talking here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And please buy Industry 4.0 books nearby you. Thank you. Bye. Bye, Mr. Dipankar.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.